I don't know. You look at the glass half full or half empty. I'd rather win ugly than lose pretty, and I guess you can look at it was totally unacceptable because it's going to cost you games. You can't have anywhere near double-digit penalties. We have 2 games now, 23 penalties for 240 yards. I'm like, what? No, it's like you almost think that'd be a misprint. Because I tell you, this goes way back in history, even though they've changed the rules. You never want 9 or more penalties or 100 yards. Bottom line, you're giving up a touchdown. So with 23 penalties, 240 yards, that's like giving up 2 touchdowns plus. So that definitely would come back to haunt you. It wasn't good against the Chiefs. We had 9 penalties, 79 yards at 9. That's like giving up a touchdown. This great English, you went from worse to worser. We know there's no such thing, but 14 penalties, 141 yards. You almost have to try to get penalized to have that many penalties. Now, I'm like, if you count Thursday, Friday in the game, I guarantee we must have had a dozen false start penalties, like illegal procedure. And, you might say, oh, it's a judgment call. No, they have to call that. Like, whether they call holding or a judgment type penalty. Nah, it depends on the crew, how they would call the game and how they just let you play or they throw the flag a lot. But when you jump it off sides, illegal procedure and all that, they got to call it. And I'm telling you, in 3 practices, that's way too many. Now, what's a great thing, guess what we are in 2 games? We +4 in the turnover margin. I like that. We came into the game, we were, we were +3 for the game. And, so we're trending in the right direction. So hopefully that's the case. We keep trending that way when we're going against the Texans next week. Because I had said this in the pregame. What's the difference? Like you look at the Chargers, they proceed as the top AFC team, and they won 10 games. They were 10-7, and we were 7-10. I said, there's not much difference between us. I'm telling you. And what I meant is that the difference is when the season was all said and done, the Chargers were +5, and we were -11. So therefore, yeah, you could see you just win that turnover battle, and then all of a sudden you're getting to double-digit wins instead of having a losing record and being out the playoffs. This is kind of what we've done now in back-to-back games. Very good on third down defense, not so good third down offense. No, I would take this any day. We'd be amongst the leaders. The Chargers are only 3 of 15 on third down. That is outstanding. Now, offensively, that is not outstanding. That's not good. We were only 5 of 17. Now, you know what's not good either? Don't we have to make holes and block Alvin Kamara or whoever we have at running back? That's back-to-back games. We're not even sniffing 4 yards a carry. We had 26 carries for 61 yards, 2.3-yard average. That's not good football. Look at Miller, Condre Miller. Stevie averaged 2.3 yards a carry. Now, he was very active. It was good to see him come back from his knee injury. He had 59 total yards. He had 36 yards receiving and 23 rushing yards. I thought at times it was good and bad with Jameis and Haener, the quarterback rating. It wasn't, we used to, as a Saints quarterback, as of late, having that 100-plus rating. But Jameis was at 87 and Haener was basically at 85. So that was kind of a push. Jameis made some tough throws in there. We're able to come down with catches. Now, what's really impressive is that yards average per reception. Listen, the third-place guy on this list would be like first if we do this for a whole season. That being Bowden, he averaged 18.5. Kirkland, LSU's own, Lutcher, 19.7. How about Shaq Davis? I want to say South Carolina State's from the MEAC. We always talk about the SWAC, the MEAC, the South Carolina State Bulldogs. He averaged 21 yards a catch, a big target. Now, Stick, the whole North Dakota State quarterback, he had a quarterback rating of 48. So overall, I think we were able to handle him.
Sacked him 5 times.
Yeah. Sack. No,
2 picks.
We got it. Speaking of sacks, how about Lalos? Lalos. Nico Lalos. We know he's smart. He went to Dartmouth. He's from Akron, Ohio. Now, how did he not end up at Ohio State? He might have been a late bloomer, but he's at Dartmouth. He's the second year in the NFL. This is like Lawrence Taylor or Reggie White kind of numbers. He led the team in tackles with 5. He had a sack. He had 3 quarterback hurries. He had 4 tackles for loss. He had a pass defended. Steve, I hope we gave him a game ball. That should be the number 1 game ball.
Oh, yeah, definitely got the game ball for sure.
Yeah, just by putting up those kind of numbers, I thought when Malcolm Roach was in there, he was very active. He had 4 total tackles. You know who built upon his performance also was, we looked at the ones from last game. I thought Ryan Conley. He ended up having 3 total tackles. He had another sack, or I should say he got a sack, and he had a quarterback hurry and a tackle for loss. So if you look at it now, he's had in the 2 games 5 unassisted tackles, 7 total, and he's had a sack, quarterback hurry, tackle for loss. So Ryan Conley really being active on that end. And, hey, he's fighting for a job. So that'll be interesting what's going to come out with that. But we got to get more touchdowns instead of field goals. I'm glad that the kickers were accurate. Groupie and Will Lutz, who made 5 field goals. We weren't quite as good in the return game like we were last week against the Chiefs. Ugo Amadi, he had 1 punt return, like about an only average. He had a long gain of 13, but he only averaged like 4.3 yards a punt return. Well, Ugo Amadi had 1 punt return for 17 yards. That's about as good as it gets. But the bottom line is that the Saints came out on top. The one who did not come out on top, I mean, I saw a couple of times on the back end, Isaiah Foskey. Has he struggled or what? We hoping he works out. He ended up having 1 assisted tackle. I think he didn't even have a stat last game against the Chiefs. And, you keep thinking, so now I'm looking and, man, who's that 55? So it becomes second nature. Man, he's getting whooped. Oh.
There was 1 play I thought I saw him get some good pressure on the quarterback. I'll give him that. 1 play.
Well, they didn't give him a quarterback hurry or quarterback pressure. I had thought he got in there, but not so fast. That they were able to get away. But, we need him to step up, and he might be definitely a red shirt year. Number 55, Isaiah Foskey, nothing to write home about. How about Brian Brzee being right place, right time, coming up with that fumble recovery? He also had a pass defended. I thought Zach Bond played a lot better against the Chiefs than he did against the Chargers. Peyton Turner. I think Peyton Turner showed up. He had a sack, a couple of quarterback hurries, and he forced that fumble that Brzee was able to recover. So it's kind of a mixed bag. You break down the film of everything. I think we had the momentum from the get-go, the way the game was unfolded, because you couldn't get off to a better start. We basically forced, I think, kind of very similar to the Chiefs game, even with Mahomes and in that first quarter, forcing 3 and out. So that's what you got to capitalize to get the momentum offensively and score a point. Dennis Allen's going to say something has to change, because if you keep getting penalties, that'll come back to kill you. I mean, if you look at it, and I want to say they only had a couple of first downs at the end of the first quarter, and I was thinking, but it didn't end up that way, how they were able to convert and get first downs. But overall, I said this at halftime. At the 7-minute mark in the second quarter, to show how we had kind of set the tone, and you want to get off to a fast start. Some games you might have to play catch up, but we've gotten off to a fast start. I would say now against the Chiefs and the Chargers. There was 7 minutes left in the second quarter, and I was like, what? They're only going to call penalties on us, and the Chargers finally got a penalty called on them. The Chargers had 5 penalties, 26 yards. That's what the coach can't say anything. That's totally acceptable. But like I said, they finally had a penalty with 7 minutes left in the second quarter. And that's when the Saints had more penalty yards than the Chargers had total yards gained, and almost like a quarter and a half. So it just shows you we've gotten off to a fast start, and we've been opportunistic. As far as that was at the same time frame when Peyton Turner forced the fumble, Brzee recovered it. That's number 1 draft picks making plays. And then we start